this is what I'm going to show you how to make today. 5 different variations. I hope that you guys enjoy. I hope that you can sit through and learn some awesome techniques, make some beautiful bracelets. Don't forget to hashtag, like I've said, MashMutants. And yeah, stay tuned. And remember, you can fast forward and rewind whenever you like, but please at least just watch the start of the first bracelet, because I will be carrying that same technique throughout all of these designs. So yeah, I'm really excited to show you guys this, and I'd love to see what you've come up with. Hi guys, this is Vixxstarr, and today I will finally be showing you how I made what I'm calling my knotted staircase bracelets. So we will be making 3 bracelets today. I'll be making 2. Basically this one here, which is a variation of the knotted edge bracelet by Rainbow Loom SG. I've added that ladder stitch down the center there. And then we will be turning that into this one here, which is basically just adding that extra frill, adding that extra border. There's both sides. So in different colours, of course. This bracelet will be turning into that bracelet, and I'll show you how to do that. And as well, I will be doing this one here, which is a variation of my, well, this is the one I'm calling my knotted staircase or frilly staircase. Like I said before, I'm not very good with naming bracelets, so these are just in my playlist of MashMutants. The difference between these two, which I have said before, is just that the border, instead of carrying up directly on both sides with this one, I have gone down one side and back up the other, which has left you with the sides running opposite directions, whereas the sides are running the same directions on this one. So it's up to you which bracelet you want to make. I will be showing you how to do both, and then at the end I will be carrying on and turning one into this one here. So, like I said, it's completely up to you how you want to do it. I'm just passing on the techniques that I use to make these bracelets. This one was solely made with the bands that I got from Rainbow Loom for my LoomStar of the Week prize. And yeah, it got some wonderful feedback on Facebook when I shared it. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. Choose your bands. What you need to start with is just a straight chain. You will only need 1 straight chain. Obviously I've got 2 because I'm making 2 bracelets today for you. But yeah, start by making your straight chain, which will be the center of your bracelet. A majority of it is hidden. As you can see, I used the black Persian to do the center of this one, and that's how it has turned out. So keep that in mind, that the colour that you use is going to be well hidden. So you can use a colour that you like, that you might have a lot more of, you know, that sort of thing. And then choose a couple more colours to do your border and your internal stitching, and I'll see you in a moment. Now, just a quick rundown on links to inspirations and previous designers. This one here, like I've said before, is basically a knotted edge with the ladder stitch down the centre. So you can find the tutorial by Jace Alvarez for Rainbow Loom SG's design on his channel down below in my description box. This one here, like I've said before, is pretty much the same design, but I've added the ladder stitch and it has an extra border on the outside. Now, one of my friends on Instagram, Plum4321, I do believe was the first to add an extra border to Rainbow Loom SG's design, which I did not realise till after. Please check out her account. She has some beautiful photos. That's Plum4321, and yes, she's absolutely lovely. And Loomatic 1962 has also done a flipagram on how to do the border, the frilling that we do on the outside. So I think I've actually used her technique in making this one here, as I think she does start at one end, go all the way around and end at the same end. So give her a shout out as well for that, Loomatic 1962. Check those lovelies all out on Instagram, and I will put links down below to a couple of other things that I think you guys might be interested in. And also, in the last couple of days, one of my good friends has also put out a new video. You may know of her, is Alicious Designs. Kate has done a wonderful job with a beginner's video on loomigurumi, so amigurumi with loom bands, and that's showing you the basics as well if you're wanting to make bigger things, toys. Yeah, so easy, and she just makes it really clear and easy to understand, so check her out as well. I'll put the link down below. Okay, so let's get started on making these bracelets. Just quickly, while I'm doing shout outs, I'm going to put it out there to my girls on Instagram. Sorry, I am thinking of more than just the two that I speak of. Can you bling it? Any of my designs, if you can bling it, like, these are really easy stitches to add beads onto, guys. Amanda and Monica Alumi, and of course the great Bling Queen Chidaro. I will put a link to their channels down below as well. You can also find them in my favourites on my page. So yeah, come on ladies, let's see what you got. Okay, so you should have made yourself a chain in the colour of your choice, basically long enough to fit around your wrist, or a bit longer, because for example with this one, which is the one we will be making now, I've made it so that it goes around. That's where we've ended it down the bottom there, and the turnaround on the other end is perfect to just pop your bead straight through and fasten it. So I made that one a bit longer so that my wrist, and then it's got that. You can change where that bead is, so it's not a big deal. And yeah, this one here, I've just made it nice and short because I'm going to make it for someone that has a very little wrist. And we're just going to fasten it. But to begin with, I'm going to start with my metallic blue chain, and I'm going to be adding the, I think it's the ocean blue and pink in the pearls. I'm going to be doing the ladder stitch straight down the center. So the end of your chain should just be your doubled loop. We're going to start there. Like I said, we are doing this one first because I think it is probably the more simple of the two. So holding onto that loop at the bottom, hold your chain out nice and straight, look at your chain, pardon me. If you turn it, you can see there's the two pieces of that one individual band doubled over. We want to work with them one on top of the other like so. So what I want you to do is grab your hook, go in through that doubled band at the bottom and up through the first loop, so the first band, like so. Grab another band of your colour choice, pull it through and reclaim it. Then you're going to slip knot it fairly loosely. You can see that your bottom ring has pulled down. That's not a big deal because all you need to do is grab the other end, grab your chain, and it will straighten itself back up. We are going to go, it's so hard to show you guys, we're going to go straight back in where we came out. So holding your chain, that's where we came out. we're going to go straight back in, and we're going to go back up through the next piece of the chain. Pull a band through. It gets easier as you go on. Reclaim it. Slip knot that band through both of those bands on your hook. Then we're going to do the same thing again. Go back in through where you came out, making sure you're holding your chain straight so it's not twisted to either direction. Coming back up through the next piece of the chain, link should I say. Pulling a band through, reclaiming it. So you're just pulling that band through and reclaiming, you're leaving that last band on there until you slip knot the first band through both. Okay, doesn't have to be tight. We're just moving on, going back down through where we came out and up through the next link in the chain, grabbing another band, reclaiming it. So we've pulled it through, and now we're going to slip knot that band through both of the other bands on the hook, going back down through where we came out, up in the next part of the chain, pulling a band through and reclaiming, and then slip knotting the top half of that band down through the other two bands. So now we've got a bit going. You can pull it out, have a look at it. I think, well, my camera's not picking up at how pretty it is, but I think that this is absolutely gorgeous as it is. For this design, I do actually pull the bands out a little bit to change the way the center looks, so I'll show you that at the end. But you can just see, like, this can be worn as a bracelet. It has to have been made and named already because it's just so simple and it's just so cute. But I really like that by itself. So I'm going to keep going with that stitch all the way up to the end. I'll let you watch me in normal time for a little bit, and then I'll fast forward, going back down through where we just come out and up through the next part of the chain, pulling a band through, reclaiming it, and slip knotting through all of those two bands. Back down through we came out, up through the next part of the chain, pulling a band through, reclaiming it, trying not to twist your bands when you're doing this, and then slip knotting up, back down through, should I say, getting tongue-tied today, up through the next one, pulling a band through, just those bands, slip knotting that through. So that is what I call the ladder stitch. When I'm putting it up through the center of another chain, I call it a ladder stitch. But it's basically just the same technique that we have been using in my other tutorials for doing the edging. It basically is the same technique that's used for like the knotted edge stitching in regular loomigurumi in the crochet. When you see people sharing their creations that they've made, these big stuffed animals, they may have used that technique sometimes to make these objects. So it really comes down to what you can think up. Alright, so I hope you've caught on with that already. I'm just going straight down through where I came out and up through the next link in the chain, grabbing one band, pulling it through the chain links, and then slip knotting that through itself and the other band on the hook. I'm not very good at explaining things today, but I know you guys are smart enough to get this just from watching it without me talking through it. And I haven't seen any of these shared on Instagram or anything yet, so... Well, actually no, that's a lie. I have had one person share a picture to me. It was completely different, but it was inspired by some of my posts, so that was absolutely lovely. I'm sorry I can't name them at the moment because I'll have to go back through and have a look. But as you can see, that is coming together quite nicely. It's really not picking up how nice those bands look. I think it looks like a waterfall. I did have a friend, Nixter1976 on Instagram. She said that she thought this one looked like a sunset theme and that this one looked like a sunrise theme. So I thought that was really cute. I'm just going to fast forward until I get right up to the end. Okay, so I'm up to my last couple. Go back down through, pull a band through, slip knot it, and last one, going down through where we came, back up through that last band that is attached to that C-clip, pulling a band through, reclaiming it, slip knotting it, and then placing that end on that C-clip there. Okay. So that is just that basic chain with that ladder stitch straight down the center. Sorry, the colours I've chosen don't look great in my light today. I was really thinking they would look better than that. But anyway, now we are going to do the outside stitch, okay, which will make the finish off our bracelet. I've chosen to use a metallic purple, so I'm hoping that the purple will bring out the pink that's in that second layer of that jewel band in the middle there. And like you can see on the end here, I think I did with this one, yeah. Just making sure I haven't gone back to front. This is where the C-clip would have been there, and I've just kind of knotted it up there, I think, to end it. I'll show you how to do that at the end anyway, but we'll just leave that C-clip on there for now. We are going to start from where that C-clip is, and we are going to put our hook in through the bottom. So holding, well, it's completely up to you if you want to have your slip knots on the sides facing upwards with your chain, or if you want to flip it over and have your slip knots facing upwards with the slip knots that are on the opposite side of your chain. So that's what it looks like on the opposite side if you have your slip knots facing up with the chain. If you did it the other way around, then those little frilly bits there would be running up there instead, and you'd have those slip knots over here, obviously. I'm pretty sure, yeah, I did the same on that one. So I can't really show you exactly what I mean, but maybe we do that this time. This is up to you anyway. You can start with your chain running top side or bottom side, but we are going to start from the bottom where we have ended with that C-clip. Place your hook through just the two bands that are your base chain. So on one side of the C-clip, placing your hook up through the bottom, grab a band of your outside colour, pull it through, reclaim it, slip knot it, and then we're going to do the hook switch. So instead of having your hook coming through the top, from the bottom to the top, we're going to take our hook out and place it through from the top to the bottom. So it looks like it's twisted, but it's not. Alright, when we join it onto the next, it will sit correctly. So we've got it on our hook like so, going up through the bottom of the next bands in that initial chain, so you should have 2. You can just do 1 and then have another effect altogether, leaving 1 band out on the opposite side, or either way. Like I said, it's up to you. Use your imagination. But we're just going to go for now straight up through those 2, pull a band through and reclaim it. Just through those 2 outside, slip knot just that band that you pulled through, and then pull your hook out and do the switch. So we've pulled it out from going from bottom to top, and we're going in through the top, so it's coming out through the bottom. You can see you've just got 2 bands that are basically tied and slip knotted on those outside bars. You can keep going all the way up and then loop them, but I find it easier just to do straight off. Now that we've got them both on our hook the right way, slip the bottom one over the top, move on to your next one up, back up through the bottom of the 2 on the outside, grab a band, pull it through and reclaim it, then slip knot it on itself, do your hook switch, pulling it out from the bottom and putting it in through the top, and then slip bottom band over the top one, going back in through the next from the bottom, pulling a band, reclaiming, slip knotting that band on itself, doing your hook switch from the bottom through the top, and then looping. So we're going to do that all the way up. What I might do is just fast forward, and you can watch me do that. When I get all the way up to the end, I will stop and I'll show you how we do the end part. So we'll just keep going on like this, going up through the bottom of the next stitch, pulling a band through and reclaiming, slip knotting that band, so pulling the second band over the first, then taking your hook out, replacing it through the top, and slipping the bottom band over the top. Okay, through the bottom, grabbing a band, slip knotting that band, hook switch, slip stitch, up through the bottom of the next, if you can get it, pull a band through, reclaim, slip knot, hook switch, slip stitch. Okay, so I hope you've got that by now. I'm going to keep filming, but I'm going to fast forward, and I will see you when I get to the end. Don't forget to keep doing your hook switch. Okay, so I've pretty much gotten up to the end of my chain. I've just got to put my last stitch in, which is the one before that doubled band at the end. So I'll go up through the bottom, pull a band through, reclaim, slip knot, hook, switch and stitch. On that end one, we're going to go straight in like we have been, from the bottom to the top. Put a stitch in, and it's up to you how many stitches you want to put in. We're going to do it the same way, slip knot that stitch, switch your hook and slip it back through again through that end circle band, pull the band through, slip knot it, hook, switch and slip stitch. I'm going to put 5 stitches in, but like I said, it's completely up to you how many stitches you want to put in there. So that's 3, 4, 5. Lucky number 5. So pulling a band through, reclaiming it, slip knotting that band, and then hook, switch and slip stitch. That's what it should look like. Nice and pretty on the end there, with a nice little hole in the end for if you want to add a button onto your bracelet or a bead. I like a bead because with a bead you can slip it through either side and wear it either way. So yeah, now we want to just keep going down that opposite side with that same stitch. We will be once again grabbing just those 2 outside bands from the bottom to the top, grabbing a band, pulling it through and reclaiming it, slip knotting it, doing your hook, switch and slip stitch up through the next part of the chain, grabbing a band, pulling it through, reclaiming, slip knotting that band, hook, switch and slip stitch. Alright, so I'll keep going with that and I'll fast forward and I will see you when I get to the end of the bracelet. Now I'm almost up to the end, just got a few more stitches to go, and this would be about the time that you would choose yourself a button or a bead, or you can use a C-clip, that's not an issue, like it will work perfectly well. But I'll show you how to fasten something else on there if you want to use something else. So the last stitch is the last one that has that C-clip attached to it. Go through the 2 on the outside, pull a band through, slip knot it, switch your hook and slip stitch just like we normally would. But now what you can do is you can lay that band, take it off your hook and grab it in your fingers, lay it to the back or whichever way it seems to fall more comfortably, and clip it onto that C-clip, just so that we can fiddle around with the bracelet now. So just give your bracelet a bit of a stretch and a fiddle. All of these bands that are our border, just tug on them a little bit. You might want to loosen off those slip knots a little bit too, just depending on what sort of bands you've used. If you're using jelly bands or silicone bands that are a bit stickier, you know. So that's pretty much it. That's easy. This bracelet is made. You just need to do how you're going to fasten it. And I will show you now. That is that ladder stitch down the center. Now, to make it look like how I have here, I've actually reached through the center of the top band and grabbed the bottom band, which is the band that runs across as this above the slip knot. Alright, so it's underneath that top one. So to show you, I'll start from that bottom or the top where we're going to use for our fasten. That first stitch, move the top aside, find the bottom one and just grab it and bring it to the top, so it's just sitting above. Move up to the next one. You can do it with your fingernails. Reach through and grab that stitch and just pull it up on either side so it's flipped itself up above that top stitch, like so, instead of it being tucked underneath. And you can see it's doing more of like that staircase or waterfall effect. So see the next one, go in behind that top stitch, grab the lower stitch, through on the other side, and just bring it above. So you can do that all the way up. I'll do it halfway, a little bit more, and show you guys the difference. Some of these bands are quite sticky, but I do love the way these double layered bands look. So I'm just using my fingernails instead of my hook now, just grabbing them, popping them up. It's quite easy once you get the knack of it. You can even pinch your bottom ones. But yeah, so that's that much of it done. Try and focus on there a bit better. We've just pulled those bands up through the center to make it look more of that staggered. And then here's where I haven't. So you've got that regular stitch up the top there, turning into that waterfall-y kind of staggered stitch. Pretty. And to fasten on the end, grab yourself a bead or a button, or I mean, like, you can just use the C-clip and you can just find the blue band and fasten onto that so that you've got it open there, or you can make your way up and fasten onto somewhere if you want to do it that way. But I'm going to grab a bead. I've got a clear bead and I'm going to grab just a piece of wire. You could use a piece of floss or whatever you've got handy that will fit through your bead or button. Grab a singular band and thread it onto your bit of wire or floss, string. Then thread your bead on. Stretch your band out a little bit and pull that bead on. And what I'm going to do for this one, see, what you can do is you can slip knot it anywhere up on the bracelet, depending on how long your bracelet is and how much you want to double it over. But like I said, because I've done this for someone else, even though it is quite long now, it'll pretty much fit around my wrist. I'm going to attach it to those end bands. So I've got my band through my bead. I'm going to put my hook up through all those bands that C-clip is through, and I'm going to remove the C-clip, get rid of it, so they're all just attached to my hook. Okay, got all those bands there. Pull one side of that band through, holding your bead on top, and then slip that back over the top, so you're slipping the bead and the other end of the band through it so it's slip knotted. Go back through where the slip knot has come over, back through all those bands and come out the other side. Grab the other end and do the same thing, so grab it on your hook, pull it through like so, and then loop that around the bead. Depending on how much tension you've got and how tight your band is, you can loop it a couple of times. I'm just going to do it the once. But there you go, we've got that bead on the end there, and it's closing off our bracelet quite nicely. Then you can loop around and pop that bead straight through. Flip it around so it's not twisted, and that's what it looks like. So that's that side, and then I will finish doing my waterfall staircase effect on that side, and I'll show you the finished product. So I'm just going to keep going through and lifting those bottom bands through the top bands and just swapping them over till I get all the way to the end, and it'll all look like that. So pretty. And that's what that looks like after those stitches have all been pulled through, compared to not pulling them through. So now we're going to move on and do this one here, which is just the same thing with the basic ladder stitch and the knotted edge on either side mirrored, so running the same way on either side. Like I said, this one is running opposite directions, but using the same technique. So I will start off, I'm going to use a chain in the black Persian. I'm not going to do this one very slow, as I have showed you these techniques in that previous bracelet, so we should be able to buzz through it pretty quickly. But I will be going on from doing that design onto this one. So after we've done the thinner one, we will go on and add another border. So get your bands together if you're wanting to do this one as well, or if you're wanting to do this one instead, and I will see you in one moment. So here's one that I just made while I was waiting for my camera to load. It's just that center, chain with that ladder stitch starting from the bottom and going all the way up, and then I've just pulled that second band out just because I like these bands and I wanted to see what it looked like. So that's just going to be a nice cute little bracelet for a little girl for Christmas. Like I said, I'm guessing this would have had to have been made before, so please comment below if you do know if this has been made before, if it has been made and named, and who it's by, etc. And we will get started. By now you should have your basic chain in the colour of your choice. We are going to go from that bottom. Okay, so as long as you've got that base bottom band flat, go in through the top, up through the next one in the chain. I'm going to be using jade medieval bands to go up through this one. So grabbing one band, pulling it through, reclaiming it, and then slip knotting it. grabbing the bottom of that base again, going back through where we came out and going up through the bottom of the next chain, pulling a band through, reclaiming it, and slip knotting it through both of those bands. So like I said, this gets easier now because we've got those first 2 stitches in. You can give it a bit of a stretch and it'll come back to shape. Go back through where we came out of and up through the next link in the chain, pull the band through and reclaim it, then slip knot through all those bands, the 2 on your hook, down back through where we came out of and up through the next link in the chain. So making sure you're getting in between. You should know how to do this if you made the bracelet just before, so I'm not going to show you any more. I'm just going to keep going with doing that. Okay, so I'm coming up to my last stitch. The last stitch is the one attached to the C-clip. So I'll go back through the previous one where I came out, back up right in front of the C-clip, grab a band, pull it through, slip knot it through, and pop that end straight onto that C-clip. So you can grab it off your hook and just clip it on to that C-clip there. Give all your bands a bit of a stretch so that they untwist and get more comfortable in the design. But there we go, that is the when I can remember names of things, the Persian black and the jade in the medieval, straight down the center there. So now we are going to add the borders, and once again starting from the bottom there with that round 1 band. For the borders I'm going to use the Sun-Kissed. Sorry guys, I'm forgetting the names of everything. So I'm going to use the Sun-Kissed in the Persian, just to brighten it up a bit. Okay, they almost look goldy, they're quite nice, orange. And we're going to work straight through that bottom band, from the bottom to the top. We're going to throw a stitch in, so grab a stitch, pull it through, reclaim, slip knot it, and this is where we need to do our switch with our hook. So from the bottom to the top, go from the bottom to the top through the next stitch, which is just for me the outside to the black Persian. Pull a Sun-Kissed band through, reclaim it, slip knot just that band, pull your hook out, do your switch and a link, up through the bottom of the next stitch. So this is exactly what I showed you before in the previous bracelet. I'm hoping you watched it, but I'm just using exactly the same technique. So I'm not going to go into it too much. I'm just going straight through the bottom. And like I said, choose which side you want to go from. I like doing it with the stitching on the top because I like the back with all of the different, looks like suns almost, if you get what I mean. So yeah, I'm going to do it with my stitching facing up again. And I'm just going to go along and I'm going to do that border straight up each of the outside bands, pulling a band through, reclaiming, slip knot, do your hook switch, so out from the bottom and in through the top, and then slip that stitch. I'm going to keep going and I'm going to fast forward, and I'll see you when I get to the other end. Okay, so I'm just coming up to the end. I'm not going to be able to film as much or all of what I was and fast forwarding because my camera's overheating. So I'm just going to have to cut it down a little bit more. But I've just got up to that last stitch. The last one of the black Persian center starting chain is attached to that C-clip. So it's up to you, but I am going to go through that and put another stitch through that as normal, and then I'm going to attach that last stitch to that C-clip as well. It's just fold it over however it's comfortable with the band, and that is that one side of our border done. Now I actually think that looks really cute by itself, just with the one border. You could even experiment and just put another border straight up the side again. So, you know, something different. And these borders are really easy to attach beads and bling up. So I'd just love to see any of your creations without a tutorial. So all I ask is for you to hashtag them so that I can see them. Hashtag them MashMutants. And yeah, I just love to see what you come up with. But anyway, that's one side of that done. So now I'm just going to go on the other side, but because I'm right-handed and it's easier for me to flip it, I'm still working up the same way. I'm mirroring it the same way, but I'm having to flip it so that I can work down, if that makes sense. So looking at that first band, what we did was we went through from the bottom to the top, we grabbed a band, pulled it through, slip knot it, switch your hook from bottom to top. So that's all it is. You're kind of working back to front, but if you can get used to this, then that's, like I've said before, a good extra skill. Moving on to the next stitch and just going from the bottom to the top, just that stitch, grabbing another band, pulling it through, reclaiming, slip knotting it like normal, flipping your hook from back to front, and then slip stitching and on to the next. So just keep going on like that. Once you get a few more stitches in, that last band will come around and you will just have the end looking like so. Keep working up to the next stitch, so remember going from the bottom to the top if you're wanting it to be mirrored to the other side. Grabbing a band, pulling it through, reclaiming it, not twisting it, slip knotting it, and then switching your hook from bottom to top and slipping through the last band. Next one, bottom to top, pulling a band through, reclaim, slip knot, switching your hook, pulling it through. Okay, so we're getting exactly the same on the opposite side. I'm going to try and film as much as I can before my camera overheats again with it in fast forward, and I will meet you at the other end. Okay, so I'm back up to the end just about again, and I'm just going to finish off up to that last black Persian with my center chain once again. So last one. I don't bother too much that my bands are a little bit twisted sometimes. I can fix most of it when I'm fiddling afterwards. So up to that C-clip, place that last band onto the C-clip. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky with the C-clip because you have got a few bands on there. So if it makes it easier for you, you can, so you don't actually need to have that center black one on anymore. So you can just grab those two of the outside bands of the border like so and remove, oh, and the center one, of course, don't forget that, and then remove it off that center chain. So I'm sorry it's hard for you to see. But what you just have to make sure is that you've got your hook through the 3 bands on the end that were the center and the 2 edges, and that middle one is fine now. It's completely closed up by the stitches, so you're all good. What you can do is put that C-clip straight back on, or you can put one band through the lot of them if you like. But now we are up to doing the last borders. So here we have that basic knotted staircase or frilly waterfall, whatever you want to call it. I think I'm going to call this one here that I've pulled the center bands out, I think that one's gonna have to be Frilly Waterfall, and this one's going to be the knotted staircase. So the 2 variations from that knotted edge, I guess. And so the next variation on from that bracelet is, like I said, that one. So just working again from the bottom and adding an extra border, exactly what we just did. Straight up one side and then straight up the other, and you will come out with something like that. Now, if you don't like that technique of doing it back to front, if you found that too hard going up the other edge the opposite way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to once again start from the bottom here, but with my last border, what I'm going to do is I am going to start on this side, work all the way up to the end, and instead of stopping and coming back and doing that side like I normally would, I'm going to make another variation for you today, and I'm going to show you how to incorporate those bands in so that you can get rid of that C-clip, follow it around and come all the way down. So as long as you don't mind that your 2 edges are going to be running opposite directions, this will make that end look quite pretty. It'll give you a spot to fasten it, and yeah, we will have another MashMutants of using the same techniques. So choose your outside border colour and let's get started on our outside border. And of course, give your bands a play with before you put another border on top of it. You do want to make sure that you don't have any bands that are like completely twisted around themselves. You do want the bands to be nice shape and comfortable how they are sitting. So you might, depending how messy your hand stitching is, you might need to sit there for a few minutes and really give it a good fiddle. But yeah, I just want to remind you that it just depends how perfect you want it to look, what sort of a look. If you want it more ruffled, it's up to you. So we are going to keep going and make this one bigger. Okay, so I have decided that I'm going to use the green apple Persian for the outside. And again, it's up to you where you want to start. You can start from, say, the first loops here and keep that little bit at the end. I'm going to start once again from that first black Persian. I'm going to go through the bottom. I'm going to grab a green band, pull it through, reclaim it, slip knot it, and then do my hook switch from bottom to top. And then I'm going to go in through the first, just that first loop there. So don't get confused because there is two there. Okay, I'm just going to move that first little bit out of the way and go straight in behind that and grab those first two loops of the teardrop. Pull a band through, reclaim it, slip knot it, do my hook switch and slip. So I'm just going to keep doing that exact same thing as we've been doing all the way up, and I'll fast forward. Okay, so my young fella is now awake and I am just coming to the end of this side of the border. I've got him watching the Wiggles in the lounge room. Okay, so I've done that border all the way up that side as normal. I haven't flicked my bands around or anything, so they're still just a little bit squiggly. I'm up to the last stitch, which isn't really the last stitch. Well, it kind of is, but it's not because it's attached to the C-clip. And because this is an outside border, yeah, what I probably would do is just attach it straight to the C-clip, and then in the end put another band through all of those. So instead, like I said before, what you want to do is just pop that on the C-clip, go back down the bottom and start from the bottom and do another border running all the way up. If you want them to be perfectly mirrored like this one, that's what you'll end up with, both running the same way. But what I'm going to do for this one is I'm just going to carry this around. I am going to use all of those bands that C-clips through. So looking at how my C-clip is sitting, I think the bands are sitting the nicest way possible. You can see the ones, they're kind of crisscrossed at the back, and then that one at the front comes over the front. I'm going to go up through the back, and I'm going to go through all of those bands, come out the front where that C-clip is, pull a band through, slip knot it, flick my hook back to front and slip. Then I'm going to do the same thing again, go back up through that exact same spot, put another stitch in, slip knot it, flick my hook and slip. Can probably take that C-clip out altogether now. This is what we've got so far, and you can see where I've been putting my hook through. Okay, So going back up through there again for a third time. And what I might do is just put 4 in. So that's the third stitch. Flicking my hook around, back up through the bottom once again, pulling another stitch through. This will be number 4. Slip knot, swap my hook, and slip through. So just pull them so that they're all about the same tension, and that's what you should have. Then we're going to move on. So the next teardrop, up through the back, pulling a band through, carrying on as normal, slip knotting, switching my hook, pulling through, and we're just going to carry on straight down that next side and finish up down the end there where we will fasten it. And that's what it's left for you. You can put a couple more stitches in there if you want. If you're going to do a big button or something, you might want a bigger gap, so you need a couple more stitches to go in there to make a bigger hole. But I'm just going to leave it like that because I'm going to use a bead. And I'm just going to carry on straight down. And I'm going to fast forward through this, and I will meet you when we get back down to the other end. Okay, and I'm up to the end, just putting my last few stitches in, and I'm going to finish it where I started it on that last black Persian. So from the orange over the top, we went underneath. Slip knot. And that's what we're left with. So we still have to finish this off somewhere. Now this is up to you how you do this. You can get another band and incorporate knotting it off somewhere, or you can grab yourself a bead and incorporate closing it off with the bead. So what I might do, because I'm not sure how long I want this to be because it's for somebody else, I might just knot it off, and then you can choose where you want to put your bead on the bracelet, and it's removable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another green band, and I'm just going to slip through that first one there of the other green from where we started. Do is I'll pull it through all of that, so then I've just got that band on my, then I will knot it, pull it tight and let it settle, and that's what it looks like. That's what you've got with that little knot there. And now you can actually tie that off because it's just a slip knot, so it could still come undone. You can decide to just grab somewhere else that it'll blend. Grab it, do a little wrap around, and slip knot again. So you're grabbing that initial piece and slip knotting it through itself again. And then you can just go in up through those bands that are all wrapped around that border, like so, and just hide that band. So then it's less likely to get pulled on or caught on anything, and you're not actually using it to fasten, so it's less likely to come apart. And you can see it there if you look really closely, but it actually hides in pretty well, because you've got to remember this side is the side that I've intended to fasten, so that side's going to be covered up, and it's just going to be like that. So I'll choose a bead, we'll finish it off, talk about a couple more things, and then we are done. Okay, so this is kind of a hard decision because I like the way that looks. I like the way that looks, but I kind of actually like the way that end turned out a bit better, and that's the end that I fastened and I hid that band. So anyway, I'll just keep doing it the way I was going to. Fiddle with my bands a little bit and get them all nice and comfy, but that's what it looks like front and back. It's reversible, so you decide which side you want to wear. I'm going to use a green bead. I am going to use that side to fasten it, and I'm going to just attach the bead around here to those center bands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach up from underneath. We'll say that's underneath. I'll go through, say there, and then back down on the opposite side through the same spot, like so. Grab green band. Well, actually, easier for you guys is to put the bead on the band first. You don't have to. Sometimes I slip knot it and then I put the bead on, but feed your bead onto your band. And then we will pull one side through. Oh, hang on, Bubby, we'll read a book in a minute. So one side is through, and we loop it over like we did the last time I fastened a bead. Then we go back through, so we've got that slip knot there, back through that opposite side where we went through last time. Grab the opposite end of the band with the bead, pull it through and around just that band, not catching any of the bands in your bracelet, and then slipping that straight over that bead as well. Okay, so once you've done that, fiddle around with it and get it comfortable and flatten it out a little bit. You may decide that you want to move it, but I've put it on that side, so when you do it up, it slips straight through that end hole and it sits like so, because I actually quite like the circular look to it. But it's very easy to just pop that bead straight through that hole around to the other side, and you can wear it either way. So yeah, you can do that with all of these bracelets. So why not try and bling it up? Why not try and use some cap bands maybe on your borders? Slip some cap bands on, slip some beads on, slip some beads down the center. I would absolutely love to see what you guys come up with. So I was just waiting for my camera to cool down once again, and I threw together another centerpiece, but this time I did it back to front. So where I ended my chain and I had my C-clip, I started there instead, and then put that center ladder chain up the center, back to front the opposite way. So that actually makes it a bit puffier as well, using those different bands. It's a bit different. Yeah, so I hope you guys really enjoyed and learnt some very basic, simple techniques. But seriously, like, I just hope that you can take these away and feel like you can just throw something together, come up with something awesome, and don't forget to share it with me. Thanks for your time, and like, subscribe, find me on Instagram and Facebook, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.